U.S. Vice President JD Vance is currently in the air, flying out of Pakistan, leaving behind an empty negotiating table and an unsigned agreement. After 9 hours of back-and-forth talks between U.S. and Iranian officials, the diplomatic window has officially closed. There is no second round planned. The U.S. delegation is returning home with nothing to show for the trip. The Iranian representatives reviewed the drafted terms and rejected them outright. This wasn't a standard impasse. It was the collapse of a fragile ceasefire, pushing the region back to the brink of active combat. Rhetoric escalated immediately. Donald Trump issued public threats, warning that American warships were already positioned at sea, ready to launch strikes. The media response followed suit. Outlets like the Washington Post published reports suggesting that if these talks failed, Iranian officials themselves could become direct targets. The summit collapsed because American negotiators demanded the specific spoils of a military victory they had failed to achieve on the ground. This satellite imagery of an Iranian nuclear site shows the physical target of the recent conflict. The primary U.S. objective was to seize 500 kilograms of uranium held inside. A secondary objective was disabling the production infrastructure. However, the primary rectangular buildings remain completely intact. Despite a month of intense bombardments and military pressure, American forces failed to secure the uranium or level the production sites. Iran absorbed the weight of the American offensive without breaking. The hot phase of the conflict ended in a stalemate, without a decisive U.S. victory. This lack of a military breakthrough created a fundamental disconnect when the parties moved to the negotiating table in Pakistan. The U.S. strategy mirrored its failed military objectives. Negotiators demanded Iran surrender all its uranium and halt nuclear production. Next, they demanded a verifiable limit on Iran's ballistic missile stockpile. Finally, they insisted Iran make the Strait of Hormuz completely toll-free. The U.S. negotiators tried to extract the exact same concessions with a pen that their military had spent 4 weeks failing to enforce with weapons. From a tactical standpoint, Iran's rejection of these terms was predictable. If Iran didn't surrender its military assets during a month of aerial bombardments, they would not hand them over voluntarily at a peace summit. This illustrates the asymmetry of leverage. Diplomacy cannot extract what a military campaign failed to conquer, making the talks doomed from their inception. With diplomacy abandoned, the region has returned to an echo chamber of mutual threats. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. leadership are promising retaliation, while Iranian officials state they will not bow to forced conditions. The ceasefire has ended. U.S. and Israeli naval and air assets are now expected to resume airstrikes. Beneath the headlines, these failed talks reveal a shift in Saudi security policy that highlights the limits of American protection. During the previous month of fighting, Iranian missile strikes successfully hit and damaged several U.S.-built defensive installations inside Saudi territory. With American systems underperforming, Riyadh reached out to Pakistan to secure its own borders. This new alliance is significant in scale. 13,000 Pakistani soldiers and 18 fighter jets are currently deploying to defend Saudi airspace from Iranian retaliation. By failing to align its diplomatic demands with its military results, the U.S. has allowed a bilateral conflict to evolve into a multi-nation crisis. The map is changing. The integration of the Pakistani military into the Saudi defensive matrix alters the tactical calculus for every military in the region. The failure to align diplomatic demands with military reality has left the region bracing for the resumption of war, while the primary responsibility for Gulf defense shifts from Washington toward Islamabad.